Welcome to the Union Street Journal podcast.
This is episode 1, and the date is August 26, 2022. Starting off for this week's articles, we have a soccer article. It was the first game of the season. The boys won by 3-0 against Columbine. We have a tennis article about how Varsity 2 won their first match. We have IC Cafe finally done after 3 months. And then we have a pro-life profile about how a healthcare worker turned from pro-life to pro-choice. From pro-choice to pro-life.
So, our soccer win. Boys varsity won their first game of the season.
That's kind of it.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a very exciting game.
Great start to the season.
Great.
We have another game coming up this weekend.
I was quite a big fan. I was there. I was taking pictures. First half scoreless. And, I think I was talking to the coach after the game for an interview, and he said that their defense seemed a little bit scared. And I think you could see that on their faces in the way that they were playing. But I think they really pulled through in the second half. And let alone, the student section energy was off the charts. It was amazing.
That's great.
That is great, Katya. That is great.
It's great. It's great.
Okay, the tennis article.
Yes, so Varsity 2 won. A very close match. It went to a game 7. They lost all 3 singles, won all 3 doubles, and then it went to a game 7, which was doubles. But our tennis program has a really long history of winning, so good to continue that tradition.
Yeah, I'm a really big fan of tennis. Don't understand the rules. Like the idea of hitting things with a racket. However, sometimes I'm just there and they do something and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to try and explain it to myself. I feel like I'll be more confused when someone tells me the rules, I feel like if someone is like, this is a line call or whatever, I'm going to be like, that makes absolutely 0 sense.
Yeah, that would be, this is why you don't write tennis articles. Neither do I. But we do have people that do.
Shout out Quinn. IC Cafe open.
Finally reopened after its
How are we
renovation.
feeling about it?
I like it. It's bigger. It's much bigger. The study rooms are quite nice. It sucks that you can't have food in those though. Makes sense, but I'm still gonna complain about it. Definitely, the more space is a very good thing.
I agree. I'm anti color palette. Like that color palette is awful. It's too bright.
What colors is it? It's
mainly white, and then it has some pops of blue somewhere from before they finished renovating it. I liked the way it was before because there was the red and blue couches, and there was that really big mural on the side that said something like "Believe" or whatever. And I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna need some kind of art in there.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the kind of thing that could be like a senior class gift.
Oh, yeah. I see what you mean. Like the be a good person.
Yeah, that mural that's in IC.
All right, pro-life article. I wrote this one. Shout out me.
The source.
The source is actually Lynn Grandin, so I interviewed her over the summer. The article took a little bit to write.
So who is Lynn Grandin?
Oh, yes, of course, my apologies. Lynn Grandin is the director of pro-life ministries at Catholic Charities Denver. So basically what she does is she gets funding. I'm fairly certain that it's a nonprofit or some kind of donational thing. But anyways, so she directs not only arguments and events organizing for pro-life supporters, but she also gives out money and helps sustain programs supporting women who are pregnant and women all over who need help and support. It was definitely an interesting article to write. She's a very interesting person. I don't really have more to say about that.
This is an opinion podcast. We do not represent the beliefs of the USJ. We represent our own beliefs.
So I was pro-choice. So writing it, that was the first piece I wrote.
I am too.
Me too. That was my first article I wrote where I had to portray a side that I don't agree with. And it was very interesting to write. I think it really put into perspective what journalists have to do and how they have to be ultra conscious of portraying things in a non-biased way, depending on the publication. We try to do that at the USJ.
I think we succeed.
I think we succeed too. I think we succeed.
Yes, overall, great week. Great first week, especially. We got 4 articles out in 5 days, which is solid considering 90% of our staff is brand new. None of those articles were written by the new staff, but still, great work.
Yep. All right.
Bye, everybody.
So here's our piece of worldwide news. We're going to be talking about the Trump FBI conflict.
The raid on his home in Mar-a-Lago.
You know what this reminds me of? Remember when Jake Paul's house got raided and they like took out a bunch of AK-47s?
Did that actually happen?
I think so.
It seems like the kind of thing I like dreamt about.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know if it was real.
It was Jake Paul FBI raid. Like, I'm so serious. Yeah, yes.
When did this happen?
Oh, a while ago. Like last year.
Okay.
Year ago, August.
Interesting.
August-ish, yeah.
Well,
so,
there's articles about it in 2020, so. See?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so August 2020-ish, Jake Paul's house got raided by the FBI. And this was around the time when he was going absolutely bonkers on the internet, which, not surprised. Jake Paul's a big person who's annoying, so the fact that he was being annoying is not surprising.
I agree with that. Reeling it back to former President Donald Trump.
So he was storing.
On March 8th, the FBI raided his house/country club, Mar-a-Lago, and they found, I believe, over 300 classified documents in all these boxes. This was brought on, so initially when Trump first left office in January 2021, before he left, he returned over 100 classified documents back to the National Archives, and that number was just like a bit high and a bit alarming for the people at the National Archives. So they wrote a letter, and that's what sparked the investigation. The search warrant was given on the grounds of 3 criminal what's the word? Criminal laws that might have been broken in him taking all these documents. One of which, my bad. One of which is the Espionage Act, which is like when classified documents are taken that like pertain to national security or could aid an enemy country. So not good stuff.
Not good stuff. No. This is a combination. This research is a combination of New York Times articles and Associated Press articles kind of mushed together. So the biggest question is, why did he do this? I think it was out of spite. I think he was holding on to it. I mean, see, here's the thing. I don't really know how legal it is for a president to bring it back to his house and read the documents. So, I feel like it's not that.
The thing is, I don't know if it's like specifically illegal, but there was this thing called, it's in here somewhere.
Presidential Records Act.
The Presidential Records Act, 1978, which was enacted after Watergate, that set these like rules for how presidential records work. And according to the Associated Press, the former presidents, at least, let's see, Obama, Clinton, Bush, at least those 3 like follow those rules entirely. So it's a super difficult process to like get access to any records, even online. It's super lengthy, and it just, there's a lot of like hurdles to jump through, and Trump just simply did not jump through those hurdles.
I don't understand how he got away with that. Like 300, just like pulling them out left and right.
I think they said it was over 700 pages.
Yeah,
What could even be that classified? They're like, they said it was like top secret level classified.
How would they not notice that was missing? Like, how would they not?
There's a lot of documents in the National Archives.
I know, but if it's classified that much,
there's probably
like, be honest.
I mean,
I feel like I'd see it. There's the aliens. There's Area 51. There is Nicki Minaj releasing a new album. Not Nicki Minaj. She did release a new album. Rihanna. That's definitely in there. I bet you there's a document. Rihanna. And I think Trump had that document.
So the New York Times, one of their articles, the kind of angle they took was that Trump likes to flaunt a lot of stuff. Like he has like one of like Shaquille O'Neal's shoes or something, and he just like has it in like one of his towers.
Why are you like, after a game, give me your stinky shoe so I can frame it on my wall? Why do you want an athlete's stinky shoe?
According to the New York Times, Trump is just that kind of person. Like he just likes to show off all these random things. So they were theorizing. I don't know who wrote this article. I also did not read it entirely. It's a little bit of a skip. But what I did read, they were theorizing that he would just like show it off to his rich guy friends. Be like, oh, I have this.
Yeah, but like,
Classified
imagine
document.
that happening.
Yeah,
like the paper for like top secret information, and you're dangling in front of you. It's like, look what I have. Look what I have, and you don't.
Yeah,
They're golfing,
so,
and they're just like, did you see that top secret Vietnam thing that Trump had the other night? That was really cool. Like, what?
This will get us more money.
Oh my god, bro.
I will say that New York Times article was extremely anti-Trump. They called him like a pack rat.
Oh,
Which is, I mean, I am
interesting.
anti-Trump as well.
Me
Not
too.
the USJ, once again, this is just our opinions. We are not speaking for the Union Street Journal in any way.
No,
But pack rat was very strong.
I know. I like when they add little words like that into articles. Like I said, dog fights in a caption. I was like, dog fights like these were
In the
common.
soccer one?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
quite a fan of that.
Well, that was nice because that
good.
was sports. I think it's just different when it's news.
It's so weird that pack rat is. What does that even mean? Like a
Like
bunch of rats
rat
in a
that goes
pack?
in a pack? I think so.
So is it like the sheep
like
thing?
a rat
like
pack?
you're a sheep?
No, like the mafia rat pack. Wasn't that a thing?
See, okay, whenever you say Rat Pack, there was this episode of the Abby Lee Dance Company where they were representing the Rat Pack
Dance
at
moms.
nationals.
Dance moms. Dance moms.
And they were representing the Rat Pack in Las Vegas, and so they were doing a little dance like the mobsters. So that's why I thought it was like a Broadway thing. But you're telling me they were dancing like the mafia?
No, like that. The Rat Pack is an actually like a mafia thing, mobster thing.
So
They didn't
were
just
doing
come
a
up with
little
that for dance moms. Like they probably were inspired by, because like they wouldn't just. Did you think dance moms invented like Rat Pack and mafia together?
I didn't know the mafia was even connected. Shoot. Okay, so here's what happened. Abby Lee.
What season was this? I don't like roughly.
It was one of the older ones though.
Okay.
Like it was.
Okay.
It was like when Chloe was still on the show.
Okay.
Yeah. Chloe left. She was the blonde one in the first 2 seasons. Anyways, so she introduced it as like these this group of guys who were just tough. And she explained it kind of like West Side Story level of dancing, like that genre of dancing.
Yeah.
That's what they did. So I was like, oh, it's a musical.
Yeah.
But it was the mafia?
Yeah. The Rat Pack. It's like a thing. But speaking of West Side Story, did you see the new one? The one from last year?
Yes. Okay. So hot take. I was a fan of it. Now Ansel Elgort is notoriously
No. See how the Rat Pack transformed
Las Vegas. Entertainment. So it wasn't the mafia.
But I swear it was something to do with the mafia. That's like a thing. Maybe I'm
Okay,
wrong.
so just for context,
Anyways.
the Rat Pack was a group of jazz singers, I believe. Sinatra, Martin, Davis Jr., Lawford, and Bishop. They brought, they basically
Glamour and
brought
swagger.
brought entertainment
Las Vegas.
to Las Vegas. So they started the whole
so
thing.
they started
And
Las
this is an
Vegas.
article by biography.com. So they were not the mafia. I was in fact correct.
I swear there's something to do with that.
I mean, I'm assuming
Maybe
there was. It
that's
was
just
Vegas, but
Crime and Scandal? Oh, is that in biography?
that's just
itself?
part.
Never mind, sorry.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I didn't mind the new West Side Story.
Back to West Side Story.
I don't like Ansel Elgort.
I don't think anyone should.
I don't like him
But I
at
don't think
all,
that should
even just as an
deter
actor.
people from watching the movie because so many other
Yeah.
actors.
The other people are fantastic.
The thing about this one is that it was meant to be not necessarily colorblind, but it was meant to represent the correct people it was representing. So they cast people of Latino descent. I don't know if it was Puerto Rican specifically. If not, that's a little dodgy. But it was meant to represent that.
I think the lead was Puerto Rican. I think Maria was Puerto Rican.
And here's the problem with that. If you don't see the movie, you're not supporting that decision. And corporations are
Well,
notoriously...
I don't think you're like making a decision by not seeing a movie. I think
Well, if you're not
seeing
saying
a
it
movie is a
specifically
decision.
because of Ansel...
Well, yeah, but
that's
like
what
not
I'm
as a
saying.
generalization.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah.
But if you're saying it specifically not because of Ansel, I think that you're preventing the corporations like Disney from seeing that... How do I explain this? I'm not explaining it well.
I just
You're
think
not-
that's like, I think that's very dramatic. I think like, I think it's valid to not see a movie because somebody who is awful is in it. And it just like happens to be the way, I think it's somebody's decision, really.
But I think the way he didn't get paid on review, he got paid just point blank. So when seeing the movie, you're not supporting his career.
Right, but like, I don't know, most people don't know that probably. I mean, I didn't know that, I just learned that.
Just now?
Yeah, just now when you said that statement. Previous presidents as far as we know, have not had this issue of taking a lot of documents.
Back to the Trump thing.
Yeah, so this is also interesting because it's happening in conjunction with the January 6th investigation.
Yeah.
It's possible, so like the affidavit, actually, the actual thing that the FBI gave to a judge to like justify a search warrant, was just released today, but it was heavily blacked out. I haven't actually looked at it. It was heavily blacked out, so we don't know the full truth of anything, but I think that some of the documents might have something to do with January 6th. And
I would not be surprised if that was
true. He's trying to protect himself and his other...
Because I saw something that's saying that if he gets criminalized for this, for whatever it is, that he might not be able to run for any position of power. And so he would be protecting himself so hard right now if I were him. That makes sense if the documents have something to do with January 6th.
Right, because what could they have to do with them? Because he was like, he incited this thing, right? But like just kind of low key, like he wasn't super obvious about it because he couldn't be, obviously. But like, and other Republican leaders, I might be mistaken on this, I haven't done much research, but other Republican leaders, maybe not within like the actual government, but within organizations and stuff, have like said that like Trump was very involved in January 6th.
And what we've been seeing from the hearings is that he was trying to get to that Capitol as much as he could.
Right.
From what I've seen, the whole situation where he was trying to grab the steering wheel and bring it back to the White House, that was in one of the previous January 6th hearings that had occurred. One of the assistants testified explaining the story. And I think that he definitely had more involvement than he's letting on. I feel like that's a pretty tame take. Yeah. And I would not be surprised if many of those documents had something to do with January 6th.
Yeah.
Now, what about it? I don't know, because I don't know, like, what classified documents look like or what they contain.
Right. Yeah, me neither.
But I feel like the only reason it would take, me personally, I haven't really experienced them quite yet, praying in the future. However, I think that if something could be contained that had something to do with January 6th, it would be in those documents.
Right. Now, if we could just go on a little sidebar here, what do you think would have happened January 6th if Trump had been there? Because that would have, like, I feel like that would have changed things a lot, because then, like, that would have been, this is, like, going to be an absolutely awful comparison, but you know how the president of Ukraine was, like, fighting with the people of Ukraine, and that, I mean, that's a really bad comparison. I know it's horrible. I have family in Ukraine. I am not, like,
we are not pro-Russia.
Yeah, I'm not pro-Russia. We are not equating Trump and Zelensky, but just in the concept of a leader coming with the people, I think that adds so much to him.
I'm gonna be honest, I think the destruction would have been less, because I think about it.
Really?
So if Trump got there before they started breaking in to the Capitol building, like if he got there and he was part of that big mob before they broke in, I think he would have just given a speech. I think he would have just talked and everyone would have like stopped and listened, because it was Trump. They like idolize him. And I think because of that, they wouldn't have done as much damage, and it would have given police time, despite his efforts to progress the riot, it would have given police time to set up some plan, some idea to get the other senators to safety.
I think that really depends on what the goal of January 6th was, like the true goal. Because is it just that all of the people got super excited and were like, oh, we can like take it over right here, right now, and it was intended to just be a rally at first, or was the intention to attack the Capitol?
That's a good question, but I think we need to figure out what Trump's intention would have been if he were there,
right? Because
they would have immediately switched to whatever his goal was. They wouldn't have kept going on with it, because they were doing it all in his
personally. I think he would have like seen all the people and been like, I can do this, and then like would have like, because that just seems like the kind of person he is to me. I've never met him.
All right, I think that wraps up the first podcast.
Episode 1.
It'll get more interesting once we have more pop culture things coming out, more articles coming out. We will be giving more of our opinions
around school.
It will get a lot funnier, I promise.
We'll do a different world event next time. You won't hear us talk about Trump anymore.
Well,
unless something else happens with him. Not this FBI classified documents deal.
Please read the news, and read your news from trusted sources like the Associated Press and select New York Times articles depending on the topic, right? It's important that despite your political bias, you really try to just read articles that are straight up fact and not written by a
Or
particular
from all
author.
sides of the spectrum.
Or from all sides. Because
Don't
if you're
just
going to read one,
side. You
read
have
the
to
other.
Yeah.
And try your best to go at it with the viewpoint. You're just trying to receive information.
Right.
Yep. Don't pass your judgment until after you finish reading it, because it'll completely change your perspective on anything that's going on. Please support the Union Story Journal by
And
subscribing and reading our articles. Thanks for tuning in.